All right, Alexa, thank you so much. 5:03, Hurricane Melissa hit Jamaica as a history-making Category 5 storm, and now it has made landfall in Cuba as a Cat 3. It could be days before we know the real scope of all of this damage. The storm has caused, though, major flooding, power outages, and they're still dealing with, of course, winds, rainfall. Kala, what is the very latest now?
We know of at least 7 dead at this point across those islands, and the worry is that that number will rise significantly because these islands are being pummeled. And I do want to show you video also because Melissa making landfall in Cuba right now as a Category 3 storm. Narrow streets in Cuba, as you can see, they are dark with downed trees, downed power lines. Officials in Cuba say more than 700,000 people have been evacuated, preparing for catastrophic damage. Cuba expecting up to 20 inches of rain with storm surge of up to 12 feet. That will cause life-threatening and potentially catastrophic flash flooding, leading to possible landslides as well. We already know Cuba is in economic crisis, and this will add to the prolonged blackouts, food and fuel shortages. Flooding also spreading to Haiti, and you can see people wading through the water there. The damage yet to be addressed. This is people evacuating Cuba, actually. The next is of Haiti. You can see wading through the water, trying to get where they need to go, but their roads look more like rivers. Again, the storm damage needs to be assessed with time. Cuba also getting pummeled. Jamaica preparing to assess the damage when the rain stops. Even though Melissa is moving away from Jamaica, the damage is not done there. They're still experiencing wind. They also have storm surge, especially along the north coast. 500,000 people are without power, and we know so far 4 hospitals have been damaged, 1 left without power. Officials there say the goal is to open airports by Thursday to get emergency relief supplies out. We also want to mention that in the Bronx, the Jamaica Progressive League is also urging residents to stock up on non-perishables that can be shipped to the island once the storm passes. And we also are hearing from a couple who is preparing to get married in Jamaica. They tabled their plans because of the damage, and they're painting a picture of what they're going through as they shelter in place.
It is pounding. Few windows are broken. A lot of water is coming in, so we're just basically pushing that towels and stuff at the doors like that coming in. And the level of noise is ridiculous. Trees have already bended over and flew away, and some of our roof is currently off.
And thus far, the storm has been blamed for 7 deaths across the Caribbean. We're talking about 3 in Jamaica so far, 3 in Haiti, 1 in Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic also reporting people missing at this hour. So sadly, we expect the numbers to continue to grow. But also, I want to mention about the efforts in the Bronx to get supplies out there. They are asking anyone who wants to donate for diapers and non-perishables. Do not send clothing at this time.
Okay. That is good to know. The infrastructure, the Prime Minister was saying, will be a big standing point. Obviously, they'll need food aid as well, but to guard against future storms that are going to be even more aggressive.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that many buildings are structurally sound, so they say, meaning that they were made out of cement. I was even noticing images where cement buildings were like compromised because that's how strong these winds were. Remember, it clocked in at 185-mile-an-hour max sustained winds, and that wasn't even the highest gust. You can see images here now. Now, it did make landfall in Jamaica yesterday around noon or so in New Hope, right? Just remember, that's where the eye came through the island. Now, around the eye wall, of course, that's where we see the most destructive winds. There's a Sandals Resort, which is just west of New Hope. And I could just imagine how things are. You're looking at images here, and obviously, I mean, we're talking about decimated conditions here, tornadoes, just those powerful winds leading to damage beyond belief, and I'm sure we're going to hear more of that. Now, Cuba, Melissa is passing through Cuba, did make landfall this morning, 3:10 to be exact, in the city of Chivirico, and this is the province of Santiago de Cuba. So we're seeing a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and speaking of wind, remember yesterday we talked about the wind field spanning about 30 miles from the center in Jamaica. Just add to that like tenfold beyond. Now, this is a Cat 3, as you can see. Highlighted in red, that's where we have the hurricane force winds. Highlighted in yellow, that's your tropical storm force winds. It's expected to pass through. Now, remind you, the hurricane force winds now span about 105 or so, much more than what we were seeing with Melissa yesterday in Jamaica. So it looks like it expanded. This is supposed to pass through. You can kind of make out here, highlighted in red, sustained winds of 74 miles per hour or more. It's going to be far greater because it is a major hurricane. Just keep that in mind. Maximum sustained winds now, it's come down a bit because we had an update that just came in seconds ago. Now it's at 115. Remember what I said about the friction of the land usually helps to weaken the storm, but it's still a Cat 3, no less. But once it goes back over to water, keep in mind, water temperatures are well into the 80s, like 85 even, possibly even a little higher than that. That's where it gets its fuel. Lower wind shear, fuel, warm sea surface temperatures, really cold cloud tops. It's all ingredients needed to intensify systems like this. So it's passing over later on this afternoon into the evening hours over the Bahamas. Turks and Caicos will be impacted. Then as a Cat 2 continuing on, Bermuda is just here. That uncertainty here, the path just off to the west. Now remember, that can deviate a bit depending on how things go. We still have warnings in place, and of course, a lot of totals and storm surge. We'll have more on that coming up. For now, we'll send things back over for Vanessa.